Mario Winans gave this world one of the biggest R&B hits of the 2000s with I Don't Wanna Know. But after his last studio album in 2004, the singer seemed to vanish from the spotlight. What really happened? Behind the platinum records and Grammy wins, Winans was battling personal demons, tax evasion, child support battles, and even bizarre accusations of witchcraft. His career as a solo artist quietly faded, even as he continued producing hits for others. So how did Mario Winans go from chart-topping R&B star to years of silence, only to re-emerge in the unlikeliest way? Today, we uncover the silent struggle of Mario Winans and the truth you didn't know. Mario Winans was born into music. As the son of gospel powerhouse Vicki Winans and the stepson of pastor and gospel singer Marvin Winans, melodies and ministry filled his childhood. Surrounded by one of gospel's most respected families, it was almost inevitable that he too would step into the world of music. From a young age, Mario showed a natural talent. He learned to play the piano, keyboards, and drums, and before long, he was producing songs for gospel artists, including members of his own family. But while most of the Winans clan remained firmly rooted in gospel, Mario's ambitions led him elsewhere. In the mid-1990s, he ventured into secular music and signed a production deal with Dallas Austin's Rowdy Records. That deal cracked open the door to the mainstream, allowing him to work with major artists such as R. Kelly and the pop group 98 Degrees. In 1997, he took his first shot as a solo artist, releasing his debut album, Story of My Heart, under Motown Records. The single Don't Know managed to climb into the R&B top 50, but overall the album failed to connect commercially. Still, the setback didn't close doors, it opened new ones. That same year, he caught the attention of Sean P. Diddy Combs, the powerhouse behind Bad Boy Records. With Diddy's guidance, Mario transitioned into a new level of success, not only as a producer and songwriter, but also as a featured vocalist. By the early 2000s, he had carved out an international reputation, blending gospel roots with sleek R&B and hip-hop production. His second studio album, Hurt No More, released in 2004, featured the global hit I Don't Wanna Know and earned him Grammy recognition. Yet behind the success, storm clouds gathered. After that album, Mario quietly stepped away from his singing career, continuing to produce for others while battling personal challenges that would soon overshadow his artistry. His story became entangled with tax evasion, child support battles, and even strange accusations of witchcraft. Complicating matters further were his relationships. The same year he linked with Diddy, Mario was introduced to Janelle Bennett, a fashion consultant for Diddy's Sean John clothing brand. According to Page 6, the two entered into a relationship that lasted several years. Around that same time, Mario also began seeing another woman, Joy, with whom he had an on and off relationship for over a decade. As his career was soaring, his personal life was becoming increasingly messy, setting the stage for conflicts and scandals that would follow him for years. Mario Winans poured himself into his craft during the late 1990s and early 2000s, becoming one of Bad Boy Records' most valuable behind-the-scenes talents. He produced records for Diddy and other artists on the label, shaping the smooth, melodic sound that became synonymous with Bad Boy's golden era. His fingerprints were on some of the label's biggest records, but one of his most celebrated contributions came when he co-wrote I Need a Girl with P. Diddy. The song was split into two versions, and Mario's presence was felt on both. On part 1, he worked behind the scenes, but on part 2, he stepped into the spotlight as a featured artist alongside Loon and Genuine. The track became a hit, further cementing Mario's reputation not only as a gifted producer, but also as a versatile performer who could hold his own alongside R&B's biggest names. As his reputation grew, Mario expanded beyond the bad boy bubble. He lent his production and songwriting skills to a wide range of artists, from Destiny's Child and Mr. Cheeks to legends like Whitney Houston and Tamia. These collaborations proved his versatility. He could craft gospel-rooted ballads, polished pop records, and hip-hop-infused R&B hits with equal skill. His resume was growing into something formidable, a catalog that stretched across genres and eras. In fact, the list of his collaborations became so extensive that fans often struggled to keep track of them all. Around 2001, however, Mario's personal life shifted dramatically. He and his longtime on-and-off partner Joy welcomed their daughter, Skylar. Fatherhood added a new layer of responsibility and meaning to his life, and while he continued working behind the boards for other artists, he also turned his attention back to his own music. It was during this period that Mario began crafting what would become his signature hit, I Don't Wanna Know. From the beginning, he knew the track needed a haunting, ethereal element, and he found it in the music of Enya. The Irish singer's atmospheric composition, featured in the closing moments of the film Sleepwalkers, became the foundation for Mario's song. But sampling Enya came with complications. The Fugees had already used the same piece years earlier for their 1996 classic Ready or Not. However, the group had failed to secure her approval and were later forced to pay her a steep fee. Learning from their mistake, Mario and Diddy made sure to approach Enya directly for clearance. Enya agreed, though not without conditions. Because she considered Mario a clean act thanks to his gospel roots, she gave her blessing. But she demanded significant publishing rights and even a featured artist credit. When it came time to officially release I Don't Wanna Know, Mario Winans and his team knew they couldn't afford to cut corners. Enya, the Irish singer-songwriter whose haunting melody was at the heart of the track, had a reputation for being very protective of her music. In fact, just a few years earlier, the Fugees had sampled the same song without permission for their hit Ready or Not. Enya eventually forced them to pay a steep penalty for the oversight. Determined not to repeat that mistake, Sean Diddy Combs personally reached out to Enya to secure pre-approval before Mario's song was released. According to Forbes, Enya agreed, but only under strict conditions. Because she viewed Mario as a clean act with gospel roots, she was willing to let the sample slide. Still, it came at a heavy cost. Not only did Enya require a publishing share, but she was also credited as a featured artist on the track. Mario had to give up more publishing on top of that. The drums in I Don't Wanna Know were lifted from You're a Customer, a classic cut by Eric Sermon and Parrish Smith of EPMD. In order to use the break, he ceded a portion of his rights to them as well. By the time the paperwork was finalized, Mario's biggest song would end up enriching several other artists, but it was a price worth paying. When I Don't Wanna Know finally dropped in February 2004, it exploded. The moody, confessional track resonated with audiences worldwide, turning heartbreak into a universal anthem. It soared to #2 on the Billboard Hot R&B/Hip-Hop Songs chart, was certified gold, and quickly became Mario's signature record. Just 2 months later, he released his sophomore album, Hurt No More. The project debuted at #2 on the Billboard 200, confirming that Mario had arrived as more than just a behind-the-scenes producer. Critics praised the emotional depth of the music, and the success even earned him a Grammy nomination. Unfortunately, the momentum didn't last. The album's follow-up singles failed to gain traction, and Mario gradually shifted his focus back to producing for others. Still, he managed to collect his first Grammy, not for his own work, but for producing Pray for his aunt, gospel legend Winans. He also kept his name alive in the charts through collaborations, including the hit Last Night with Diddy and Keisha Cole, which extended his presence in the R&B landscape. Professionally, Mario's star was still glowing, but privately, his life was unraveling. Despite calling Joy his wife and building a family with her, he continued an ongoing relationship with Janelle, the fashion consultant he had first met through Diddy. The double life he was leading behind closed doors would soon spill into the public eye, sparking scandals that would overshadow his musical achievements. For all the musical highs Mario Winans was experiencing, his personal life was spiraling into scandal. According to Page 6, when Janelle Bennett, the the fashion consultant he had been seeing during his on-again, off-again relationship with Joy, discovered she was pregnant, Mario cut ties without warning. In 2005, she gave birth to a son, Jordan. The Miami Herald later reported that Mario agreed to take a DNA test, and the results were undeniable. He was Jordan's father. Yet questions quickly arose about just how much responsibility Mario was willing or able to take. At first, Janelle claimed Mario provided her with $4,500 a month in child support. But by 2007, she told reporters that the payments had stopped altogether. Without that income, she fell behind on rent in Miami and was ultimately evicted. Desperate, she moved to Chicago's South Side and picked up work as a cocktail waitress. Even with long hours, the money wasn't enough. She described sleeping on friends' couches, essentially homeless while raising her young son. Her bitterness only grew when she compared her situation to that of Mario's longtime partner, Joy. Joy lives in a 16-bedroom mansion and her daughter wears mink coats and 7 jeans, Janelle told Page 6. And my son doesn't have boots to wear in the winter. The dispute became even messier when Janelle shared private emails she had received from Mario's mother, gospel star Vicki Winans. In one message, Vicki allegedly wrote, "Nobody likes a stuck-on-themselves pretty white girl with pretty eyes that thinks the world owes them everything." When contacted for comment, Vicki didn't deny sending the emails. Instead, she doubled down, calling Janelle evil and claiming she practiced witchcraft. "I want to meet my grandbaby," Vicki said, "but I'm afraid of Janelle." She's into all this witchcraft. Still, Vicki defended her son against accusations that he was a deadbeat father. She insisted that Mario was struggling financially and that she had even loaned him money so he could keep up with child support obligations. Despite the drama, Mario pushed forward with his life. In 2009, after more than a decade of an on-and-off relationship, he married Joy. Professionally, he remained active in the music business. By 2010, he was back in the spotlight, executive producing Diddy's Dirty Money album Last Train to Paris and working on Trey Songz's hit single Can't Be Friends, which climbed the Billboard charts and lingered there for weeks. Janelle Bennett's legal battle with Mario Winans didn't end after their initial disputes. It became a long and exhausting saga that followed him for years. She continued to pull him in and out of court, fighting to secure consistent financial support for their son. In 2011, Janelle told Page 6 she decided to show some leniency after hearing that Mario and Joy had welcomed more children. Believing that the couple had fallen on hard financial times, she agreed to reduce his monthly child support from $4,500 to $2,500. It was a temporary reprieve, but the peace didn't last. By 2013, they were back in court once again. Mario had fallen behind on payments, and Janelle, who felt deceived, said she discovered in the process that Mario wasn't as broke as she had been led to believe. The court sided with her, raising his monthly obligation to $3,500, a decision that only intensified the financial strain Mario was already under. The child support woes were just one piece of a much larger problem. That same year, Mario's finances came under federal scrutiny. He pleaded guilty to tax evasion after admitting that he had failed to file tax returns for a staggering 12 years. His unpaid bill to the IRS had ballooned to just over $400,000. Despite the legal trouble hanging over his head, Mario still tried to maintain his presence in the industry. While awaiting sentencing, he rejoined Diddy and the rest of the Bad Boy crew for the 2016 Bad Boy reunion tour, revisiting the glory days of his career. But behind the scenes, his money problems continued to snowball. Reports surfaced that Mario and his family were evicted from their home, with his landlord dragging him into court for $47,461 in unpaid rent. The once Grammy-winning producer who had worked alongside giants of R&B and hip-hop was now fighting just to keep a roof over his family's head. By September 2017, the situation reached a breaking point. Sheriff's deputies took Mario into custody for failing to keep up with his child support payments. By that time, he owed Janelle a staggering $178,000. In court, his lawyer argued that Mario wasn't deliberately neglecting his duties, but was simply unable to keep up. He claimed Mario was making only around $3,000 a month from songwriting royalties, far less than what was needed to cover the $3,500 monthly payment. The judge was unmoved. Mario was given 1 week to come up with the outstanding balance or face being locked up. As a condition of his release, he was fitted with an ankle monitor, a humiliating reminder of how far he had fallen from the days when he was topping charts with I Don't Want to Know. The following month after his arrest, Mario Winans once again found himself standing in front of a judge, this time to be formally sentenced for tax evasion. The courtroom heard a sobering account of just how dire his financial situation had become. Despite once being a Grammy-winning artist and a hit-making producer, Mario was struggling to even cover his legal fees. It was revealed that he had been forced to borrow large sums of money from his mother, gospel legend Vicki Winans, just to keep himself afloat during the trial. The judge handed down a tough sentence: 5 years of probation, 500 hours of community service at a boys' music school in Newark, mandatory repayment of his tax bill, and an order to undergo mental health treatment. But before the sentencing was finalized, the judge delivered a scathing rebuke. He reminded Mario that his financial obligations extended beyond the IRS, that he had a son, Jordan, whom he had failed to consistently support. "You made the decision to go behind Joy's back," the judge told him sternly. "This is your son, and you have to pay your obligations to him now and forever." The words cut deep, and Mario promised the court he would get his life back in order. But even with that vow, his troubles were far from over. Only 3 months later, reports from Bossip revealed that police were preparing to apprehend him yet again after he failed to make good on his outstanding child support debt. The cycle of financial woes, courtroom appearances, and broken promises continued to shadow him for years. Then came another blow. In October 2018, the IRS resurfaced with fresh demands, hitting him with a staggering new tax bill of nearly $1.5 million for income earned between 2008 and 2012. For someone already struggling to keep his head above water, the figure was crushing. To this day, the full resolution of that case remains unclear. In 2023, his former girlfriend, Janelle Bennett, again accused the R&B singer of failing to meet his monthly child support obligations for their son, Jordan. According to Janelle, Mario was required to pay $4,500 per month in support, but had fallen 4 months behind. She claimed the missed payments left her struggling to survive. "I was homeless. I had to stay with friends in Chicago," she told Page 6, describing how she bounced from couch to couch while trying to provide for her son. For Janelle, the situation was made even harder by what she saw as Mario's hypocrisy. "He pays $10,000 a month for a house in New Jersey and says he's broke. He's not broke. He just had a hit song with Drake." The song she was referring to was "Loving You No More," performed by Diddy Dirty Money and co-written with Drake, a track that gave Mario fresh credibility in the industry at the time. To Janelle, it was proof that Mario had the means to pay but chose not to. Mario, however, told a different story. He denied neglecting his responsibilities and insisted he had always ensured his children were cared for. In a statement to the press, he claimed to have wired Janelle $14,000 over the weekend, adding, "I take pride in my children. It is what it is. I always make sure they are taken care of." The dispute soon escalated into a public back and forth. While Janelle painted a picture of instability and neglect, Mario positioned himself as a committed father under attack. The tension only grew sharper considering Mario's family with his wife, Joy. The couple shared 3 children of their own, living in what Janelle described as a 16-bedroom mansion, while she and Jordan were left to scrape by without boots in the winter. For Mario, the allegations struck a blow to his reputation. Fans who once celebrated him for heartfelt songs like I Don't Want to Know were now forced to reconcile the image of the singer-songwriter with accusations of financial neglect. Legal battles loomed, and both sides prepared for a fight. Mario hired an attorney, denied any wrongdoing, and warned that his team would pursue legal action if Janelle continued making public claims against him. The threat underscored the seriousness of the case. Whether it would move to civil court or potentially result in criminal charges remained to be seen. The episode highlighted not only the fragility of Mario's finances, but also the complexities of child support battles when fame and fortune are involved. On one side was Janelle, alleging homelessness and abandonment. On the other was Mario, insisting he was fulfilling his obligations while juggling career setbacks and mounting legal troubles. Despite his ongoing battles, Mario never fully disappeared from the music scene. His talent kept him in demand as a songwriter and producer. He even resurfaced in headlines when he collaborated with The Weeknd on his fourth studio album After Hours, proving that his creative touch was still relevant in a new era of R&B. Beyond music, he accepted a role as a vocal coach for Diddy's planned Making the Band reboot, though the project was put on hold due to the pandemic. Always looking for new ways to share his experience, Mario also launched Art Time, an online mentorship platform aimed at guiding the next generation of independent artists by connecting them with industry professionals. When asked about releasing new music of his own, Mario admitted in a 2020 interview with You Know I Got Soul that he had plenty of material sitting unreleased over the years. But he explained that he had been more focused on working on himself, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I have a lot to talk about, he said. I have a new perspective on life and love and different things I can really talk about to inspire some people. It's time now. Mario Winans' journey is a reminder that even the brightest musical talent can be overshadowed by personal battles, financial missteps, and complicated relationships. Behind the Grammy wins and timeless hits lies a story of silence, struggle, and resilience. A man still trying to balance his gift with the weight of his past. But the question is, can Mario Winans ever step back into the spotlight as the artist fans once believed in? Or will his legacy remain defined by the struggles that nearly consumed him? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories like this. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!